All right, we are going to be going through a set of exercises, movements that are going to help with improving your balance and stability. So, a couple of the items that you're going to need today, you're going to need a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball. Either one will work well. You're going to need an item that you can lay flat. I'm using a TheraBand, but you're welcome to even draw chalk line on the concrete outside. You can use a long string, anything that's going to elicit the same type of response of walking on a tightrope. And if you don't have it, no big deal. Just imagine it on the ground. A mat for their hands and knees that we're going to do a couple exercises on, and then a small, very small set of weights. I'm using fives, but you can definitely utilize a couple of water bottles. That is a great option as well. The option to use a mini band is going to be, I'm going to give that option, but it's not a necessity. This could also be something that you utilize a little further down the road when you notice your balance is actually getting better. But I am going to show you the option with that. And then a chair, I'm going to use my bench because I'm in my gym. All right. So what I want you to start with is you're going to grab that trigger point ball or the lacrosse ball. And if you only have a tennis ball, you can use that. But I want you to start by rolling the bottoms of your feet. So we're simply going to take that ball underneath the bottom of the foot and just, 20, 30 seconds or so, just kind of rolling through the bottom of the foot. Once you've completed that, then you're going to spread your toes out and act like you're trying to grab the ball with your toes. So I just want you to spread your toes out over that ball and we're simply going to lean into it. So we're just getting a little stretch at the base of the foot and at the base of the toes. You can hold that stretch for again another 20 or 30 seconds and then shake it out. Switch to the other side. Make sure you get a good roll at the bottom of the other foot. And then again, take those toes, spread them really wide and grip all the way over that ball, getting a good stretch in between the toes and underneath the base of the toes. All right. So hit pause, go ahead and complete that, and then join me back when you're ready. Keep that ball handy because you are going to be using it in a little bit. So the first exercise we're going to start with after you have completed rolling the bottom of the feet is a simple heel to toe line walk. So I'm going to start at the back of my tightrope here. And the goal on this is to stay on your item, stay on your line. And you want to go literally heel to toe as you are walking and try not to step off of that band. All right. Again, if you don't have a band or your band is sticking to the bottom of your feet like mine is, you can simply walk heel to toe. And as you get that balance may feel like you're kind of wonky and you're struggling, your arms may be out to the side, that's fine. Just pay attention to what your body feels like when you're in that movement. So heel to toe, keep your abs drawn in, make sure you're breathing. As you feel a little bit more comfortable, you can bring your arms out to the side even. And the more challenging version of that would be your arms overhead. For now, simply let your arms kind of do whatever they're going to do to help you on that balance, on that walking. Again, the goal is to make sure those heel to toe is directly touching each other on every single step. An advanced version of that later down the road is once you feel like you've gotten a lot better at that forward motion, you can then begin switching and taking that heel to toe walk backwards. You don't have to worry about that now. Each of the movements that you're going to do, I want you to just set a timer for about 30 seconds up to 60 seconds to do that movement. I want you to kind of see what feels good for you. I would suggest on the walking to set a timer for 60 seconds and just practice that heel to toe walking. All right, we're going to move into our second exercise. On this one, it's a multi-planar toe tap. And what we're going to be doing is focusing, standing on one leg. And by multi-planar, I mean we're just going to be tapping in 3 different points around the body. So initially to start, I want you to stand on your left leg, knee is soft. You're going to tap the right toe forward. You're going to tap the right toe out to the side, and you're going to tap that right toe behind you. Bring it back to the center and start again. Now, as you're completing this, find a spot on the ground to kind of stare at. That will help with that balance, bringing that toe back in. Keep that standing leg soft. You don't want to lock the knee out, all right? I want you to set a timer for 30 seconds, and you're going to complete that toe tap forward, side, and back, bringing it back to the center, and then you'll switch to the other side, all right? 30 seconds on that side as well. Now, a little bit more advanced version of that would be utilizing the mini band. So you're going to take that mini band, you're going to place it just above the ankles, and you're going to do that same exact multi-planar tapping, but this time you have an added resistance. So you're going to tap forward, you're going to bring it back in. You're going to tap out to the side, bring it back in, and then you're going to tap back behind you, bringing it back in. It's super important when you're doing the forward tap. Again, body stays upright, bring it in, toe out to the side, in, and then on that back tap, you just want to reach straight back. So you don't want to lean forward or do anything weird with that upper body. You want to keep that stability locked in. And again, that standing leg, you want to keep that standing knee soft. Don't lock out that knee. All right. So if you want to use the band, you're welcome to use the band, but you definitely do not have to. Again, I want you to go 30 seconds per side, and then we're going to move on to that next movement. All right. On our next movement, we're going to be utilizing a chair. I'm going to use a bench, but you can definitely use a chair. And what I want you to have it there more for safety than anything. We're not actually going to be sitting on it, but you may need it every now and then. If you feel like your balance is a little bit off, you might want to utilize it. So I want you to just find where your sitting position would be and then stand up. That way, if you do happen to teeter or fall, it is your safety net behind there. We're going to start with the arms out in front, and we're going to go into a chair pose. So if you're familiar with that in yoga, we're going to send the hips back. Actually, you're going to start with your feet literally together. I want your knees together, hips, thighs together, and your feet together. Arms out in front. We're going to send your hips back behind you. So we're hovering on, or hovering just above that chair or that bench, right? From here, I want you to lift your heels up and then drop your heels back down. Nothing else is moving, just lifting those heels up as high as you can, dropping those heels back down. Lifting up. We're going to go for about 6 to 8 reps of that. Again, if you need to kind of stand it up and shake it out periodically, you're welcome to do so. But starting there, we're going to lift and lower 6 to 8 reps, and then you can stand it up, kind of shake it out, and then you're going to go back into that position. Drop down, arms in front, lift your heels up and hold. This time we're going to go arms overhead, arms down in front. So you're lifting your heels up and you're holding those heels up and you're trying to balance without falling over for the remainder of those 6 to 8 reps. Now, if lifting both heels up this first time or when you start doing this is way too much for you, you're welcome to take a single heel lift, drop, lift, drop, maybe lift and try the other one a tiny bit and then switch. Just whatever feels good for you to increase that balance. Eventually, you'll get to that point where you can get both heels off the ground. All right. And if you're not able to hold both heels up off the ground for the arm raises, you can keep one heel on the ground and do those arm raises, 3 or 4 one side, and then switch to the other foot. All right. All right, we're going to move down to the mat and we're going to take it into a hands and knee position down on the mat. So we're going to do some bird dogs. When we set up this movement, you really want to make sure that your hands are the wrists are directly underneath the shoulders and your fingertips are spread nice and wide. Knees are directly underneath the hips. So you don't want them back behind you and you don't want them too tucked in. All right. So once you have found that position, you're going to elongate the entire spine. So think about reaching the crown of your head and your tailbone as far away from each other as you can, really elongating through that spine. You're going to draw your navel in and away from the mat. And we're going to start by reaching your right arm up and by your ear, or bicep by your ear, sliding your left toe behind you. If this feels good, you can go ahead and lift your left toes off the ground, maybe an inch or so. Doesn't need to be much higher than this. And you're just holding. Count to about 5, maybe 10 seconds. Slowly set back down and switch. When you switch, start by bringing the arm up, then slide the toes behind you. Feel that locked in position, navel drawn away from the ground. From there, if you feel sturdy enough, go ahead and lift those right toes off the mat just a little bit. All right. We're not going way high with the leg. All right. I want you to think like 1 to 2 inches off the ground. You want to keep that foot flexed like you're pushing a brick wall away from you. And then we slowly set it down and we switch. All right. So set a timer for this one for a full minute and slowly alternating back and forth on those bird dogs. The second level of this movement that you can add in when you feel ready is going to be an abduction motion. So you have your regular bird dogs here. You feel sturdy, you feel steady, you're not wobbling all over the place. Then you're going to take your arm, that right arm out to the side and that left leg out to the side. All right, and bring it back in, set it down and switch. I'll show you from this position. I'm going to lift that arm up, slide my toes behind me. I feel sturdy. I feel good. Now I'm going to open my arm and my leg out to the side. I'm going to bring it back to that center, and then I'm going to set it down before I switch to the other side. If you're doing this motion, you want to make sure you're not collapsing or falling all over the place. You've got to be very much in control with that core and that stability. And if you're watching this thinking, oh my goodness, I could never do that, don't worry about starting with that now, but just know you have something to look forward to as that balance and as that stability improves. All right, we're going to come back up to standing for the remainder of our movements. On this one, we're actually going to grab that tennis ball or that lacrosse ball, and we're going to take the ball and we're actually going to put it behind the back of the knee. So ground down into those feet, spread those feet out nice, or those toes out nice and wide. I'm going to start by standing on my left leg, putting that ball behind my right knee, and I'm going to pin it back there. So I want to hold on to it, okay? Hands come to hips. From this position, we're going to simply lift that knee up in front of the body, open it out to the side like a clam, close it, and then release. All right. So we don't want to keep that hip flexor too much in tension. So let that knee come down for a little bit to rest in between. So we lift, we press open, we bring it back to the center, and we release. All right. Set a timer for 30 seconds. Work on one side of the body. Shake it out. Give that standing leg a little break, and then you'll switch to the other side. Now, if this is your first time doing it and your balance is very challenged and you feel unsafe, please keep a chair next to you so that you can just grab it, hold on to it periodically until that balance gets a little bit better. And a little extra trick is really think about spreading those toes nice and wide to give you a nice stable base and foundation. All right. So those standing clamshells with that ball behind the knee, you've completed that on both sides. Now we're going to move into some figure 4 position. So again, if you need that chair for balance, grab it. But we're going to cross one ankle over knee, and we're going to sit down into like a half squat. So we're going into a small squat position, and you'll notice that foot that you're standing on, those muscles are just going to start activating, right? It's also going to feel lovely on that the leg that's crossed over on that outer hip. So getting a nice stretch in that outer glute. We did some standing work, so this will be nice. And we're just going to balance, sit here, hold. If you want to test your balance periodically a little bit more, maybe you take your arms off, maybe you take your arms out to the side, or you just stay right here. Okay, hold for 30 seconds, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, and then come up out of it, go back down into it, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, stand back up out of that. So kind of adding in a little bit of a squatting motion, but definitely holding that position for a few seconds before coming back to standing. I want you to go ahead and complete that on both sides of the body. You can set that timer for 30, maybe even 45 seconds on that one. And just, again, test out the body, see how it feels. Last couple of movements we're going to do. One of my favorites, I was a Muay Thai boxer for a while, or trained Muay Thai, and one of my favorites was doing side kicks. And so that's actually one of the movements we're going to do. But I want to teach the proper positioning. So you want to start with the standing leg, the toes turned slightly out to the side. And then we're going to take your hips, and I want you to drop your hips down. All right, so we're going to kind of pull the hips down, and you're slightly leaned over that front leg. You're going to lift your knee into your chest, and you're going to push your heel out, bring that knee in, and tap your toe back down. Again, this is great if you need a chair for a little bit of balance. Don't hold on to it like for dear life, but it's there for safety if you need it, all right, or even the wall. So again, that toe is slightly out to the side. We're going to slightly lean over, lift the knee up, push through the heel, extend that leg, bring it in, tap it back down. Lift up, press out, in, and down. All right. We don't want the toes going up to the sky. So you really want to keep that hip rotated down. It's going to activate that outer glute as well as the standing leg glute on that movement. Set that timer for about 30 seconds per side, shaking it out in between. Our last and final movement is going to be using either those water bottles or very light weights. And we're going to do a cross body punch, but we're going to do it from a single leg position. So I'm going to stand on one leg. I'm going to lift the other knee up, dropping into a little bit of a squat, and I'm going to go into a cross punch across my body. All right. Again, you can do this without weights if you prefer. Maybe start there, see how you feel, then pick up some water bottle or weights. 30 seconds on one side, shake it out, switch to the other one, sitting down into that squat hold. And you may even notice, oof, one side is a little bit better balanced than the other. And that's fine. You'll get better at it the more you do these movements. On that single leg standing punch, set that timer 30 seconds per side, then switch to the other. All right, so those are some really great movements that you can start with to begin building that strength in your balance and in your stability. If any of the movements feel too challenging or they become easy enough and you want a little bit more variation, feel free to reach out and I'm happy to help you with that. Hope these are helpful. Have a great day.